Folklore and legend is filled with stories of amazing, larger-than-life weapons. Many are wielded by classic heroes like King Arthur's Excalibur, and some by a new age of heroes like the ones found in everything from Fortnite to Marvel Universe. Ever wonder what it would be like to hold one of these epic swords in your own hands? Come along with me and meet a skilled artist and blacksmith who's pulling these magical, mythical weapons out of the comic books and video games and into real life. What would you do if Marvel, yes, the Marvel Universe, calls you up while in college and asks you to build a sword for an upcoming movie? You know, a small one called Thor. That's exactly what happened to artist and blacksmith David DelaGardella. You have to hear his creative story.
I'm David DelaGardelle. I own Cedar Lore Forge is my personal business where I craft mytho-poetic swords and knives for collectors and artists around the world. Work for, films and movies and video games and stuff I'm really excited to share. Me with my love of mythology and history, I wanted to make swords. That's what it was all about. I guess I should be clear that, well before I ever, as a kid, tried blacksmithing, my dream was always to be an illustrator. And as a kid, my friends paying me to draw their favorite Pokemon or whatever, favorite superhero. And I loved that. Drawing and illustrating and painting is great. I still do that. I still illustrate books. But there's something, more rewarding about holding a physical, tangible piece, especially as a sword, There's something that really has power in an object like that. The kind of genesis of me getting into this craft in my life, number one, I grew up in a really artistic family, awesome parents who were always super supportive and encouraging. And of course, just a natural big nerd growing up, loved, like Tolkien, Beowulf, King Arthur, all that kind of stuff. So those things just infused my imagination. They wrote their own modern myths, These are stories that the modern soul can kind of connect with. So I like melding and merging a good balance of history and mythology. And then when I met my lifelong friend Andy when I was, like 6 or so, both of our moms were like, we both got wild, crazy boys that like to blow stuff up, they like fire, and they like Legos. So let's just force them to hang out and they can build Legos, and our friendship blossomed from there. I'm pretty sure Andy and I didn't talk at all for the first couple years of our friendship. We just built stuff and then blew things up. We were making wooden weapons, run out in the woods and, battle trolls and orcs and stuff. That's just how our brains worked. Andy and I started actually blacksmithing when I think we were 12 or 13. Andy's amazing dad owned farm property, still does to this day, and we just decided to take over the corner of his barn and slowly took over the entire barn like a virus. And he's like, all right, as long as you guys are productive, you guys can have it. Andy's and my whole business was called the Mad Dwarf Workshop. Very, very, very nerdy. I just have such fond memories of that. I'm so grateful to our dads for kicking us in the butts out the door to actually go try something and get filthy and even risk hurting ourselves, which we did. Many a visit to the ER, but it was worth it. Me and Andy had a kind of our big break, and that just dumb kids on the weekend making swords as a hobby. Marvel Studios reached out to us and said, hey, we like your guys' work. We're working on a little movie called Thor. We just finished work on Iron Man. Can you guys make us some swords for the movie? And I thought it was a friend of mine playing a prank at me when I read this email at 2 a.m. And the rest was history. We cranked out a few different swords for the character of Heimdall in the first Thor movie, the Gatekeeper.
So tell me more about the process of Marvel calls you, which is crazy still. But then you're like, did you have to make a model to start with, or how did that go?
Yeah, it was a blast. They reached out. They gave us a rough blueprint design, which ironically, Andy and I made these full-scale paper templates. You can try to unravel this guy. It's got stains from our old workshop sitting out in the barn for years.
But dude, this sword was enormous.
Yeah.
It's almost how tall is this thing? 4 feet almost?
About, yeah. The finished sword, when the tip was on the ground, the pommel went right up to my chin. So.
Wow. But what is that? By the way, I guess gotta ask, what did that feel like when you first saw the movie and you're like, oh my God, I made that. That's crazy.
It was surreal. Andy and I, for 21-year-old kids, it was a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody and their mom that was there at the showing got a picture with the sword. It was ridiculous. But it led both Andy and I into much more professional work, into a more professional museum quality, collectors and other films and projects. But yeah, almost every piece that I forge, starts on paper. So for example, I think it's in this sketchbook, I did the original concepts for the sword that we finished in honor of Andy. As you guys know, Andy, my lifelong friend, just had a long but really resilient battle with brain cancer, and so everything we do here is to kind of commemorate and honor his legacy. Really proud of this piece. We very much finished this blade in honor of Andy, and we being me and a group of some of the best bladesmiths alive on planet Earth today, good friends of mine. We very much kind of accidentally captured some of Andy's aesthetics in this blade.
Okay.
I've got an old blade of Andy's that he never even finished right here, and it does crack me up.
Very similar.
Yeah, how some of the shapes are very, very similar in style and vibe. On almost every project, I'm the resident nerd and the dork who likes to weave in as much, fantasy lore, medieval history, and so I love Professor Tolkien's work. I mean, he was an awesome dude. I took Tolkien's drawings, his doodles, and I one-to-one copied them and carved them into handle.
If you can't see this on camera, this is insane. I mean, this is the level of skill and precision you've got in this thing. David has created many one-of-a-kind swords for customers and collaborators all over the world. And he's gained a special expertise forging weapons in Damascus steel. This method of creating strong and uniquely beautiful blades is based on an ancient technique.
The best way to describe Damascus steel, aka pattern welded steel, when you take two colors of clay or Play-Doh and smash them together, fold it a few times, and you see the colors swirling, that's what you're doing with steel. Ancient smiths were, smelting and then folding just to get the impurities out, just to get a homogeneous bar. That was their goal. The patterns for them was a happy accident. You can do mosaic patterns, you can do patterns that look like flames, explosions. I'll start with a huge chunk of several or dozens of different layers stacked up, get it up to well over 1500 degrees, glowing bright yellow, almost white, and either under a power hammer or one of our presses, the pressure and the heat fuses all those layers together. And from there you can keep folding it to increase the layer number, or you can twist it, you can manipulate it in a variety of ways and just get some spectacular patterns. This is a great example because the layers are a little bit more bold.
Right.
We intentionally went for a more low layer count so you could really see the layers pop. And we twisted it, and
that's what gives it that kind of like almost mountainous range look, is where you're twisting it, just bending it or something. Wow.
Yeah, just a lot of cool effects. Swords at the level that I'm trying to craft them at can take anywhere from a month to a full year. And the guys in the shop will rightly give me a lot of crap for being so meticulous that it takes me forever. But that's why people come to me for my work. They're willing to wait. I'm putting that extra effort in of, meticulous hand-done detail work, especially the artistry, carving, inlay, rare materials. I like adding a lot of narrative value into my pieces. I mean, for example, I'm finishing up multiple swords right now, and the wood on the grip is 5,400 years old.
This is the one.
Yeah, so that wood, when that tree 5,000 years ago was in its prime, was, just normal brown oak wood. But the log, which I have right here, the remainder of it.
Oh, wow.
Sitting underwater for that amount of time soaks up the iron-rich water and becomes pitch black. Man. And so it's just really cool to use materials
joke, dude.
Like that. So
yeah, that's amazing. I love it.
The piece of wood that I'm using in this piece might actually be older than the sword I'm trying to depict. Stuff like that is just so much fun to weave in meaningful narratives into a piece to make it more than just a sharp cutting tool.
To create his custom works, David makes good use of modern presses, like this one made by his partners at Coal Iron Works. But if you really want to learn what blacksmithing is all about, it all starts with a hammer and an anvil.
Gosh, thousands of years ago, guys were forging masterpieces of engineering in dirt huts with no power tools, People, believe the lie, especially young people, that I gotta have all the fanciest tools, I gotta get all the bells and whistles, especially probably when they see our machines, and that makes sense. Our machines will certainly help you do your work quicker if you're a professional, but if you're just starting out, learn the hard way, forge things by hand, make mistakes, give yourself grace. Forge away. So yep.
Having a look. So I'm just angling at the bottom.
Yeah, angling it, yep. And try to focus your blows right on the end there.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Perfect, yeah. And you can really let that thing fall if you want. But even
no pressure with the master watching me here.
No. Dude, you're doing so much better than most people do.
Oh, whatever. Lies.
Yeah.
Woo, feel the heat from that bad boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy crap, that's tiring. Like, I'm physically tired from doing it 2 times.
For me, I'm really seeking for, a finished sword, even when you look at it, but especially when you hold it, to really have an impact on the person who's wielding it or witnessing it. A sword is a powerful object. A well-balanced, well-made, fully functional, razor-sharp sword, when put in the hands of somebody, it'll change their demeanor. Some people get kind of scared and shrink back and don't want to touch it. Other people are like, whoa, they get like a supercharge of power. That's really fun for me to see. I really want to bring that out in people.
I mean, it's just cool to see like the artist in you. Again, I love what you're doing, because it's this blacksmithing trade mixed with like extreme creativity and history, which obviously I love history. So, but dude, you put it together in these pieces of artwork that are just fantastic. It's inspiring, man.
Appreciate it. It's fun.